Hello, and welcome to the Book Marketing Simplified podcast. I'm Jen Hanson-dePaula.
And I'm Marcus-dePaula. And Jen, our focus at Mixtus Media is marketing. Mm-hmm. But in your online community that you have built of these amazing authors that we get to interact with every day, there's a lot of questions that have popped up about publishing in general. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of advice out there online. Mm-hmm. And there are a few points that you wanted to make sure that authors understood before they sign with a publisher, an agent, or anything like that, right?
Yes. And what really made me want to talk about this today was from a podcast that I listened to several months ago by a woman named Hillary Rushford. And she is a very popular online entrepreneur who helps with style and entrepreneurship and lots of different things. And she has a very big Instagram following. She has a very successful business that she's built. And she has always wanted to write a book. So when she got an opportunity to sign with a publisher and she got an agent, she jumped at it. And the whole series of podcast episodes, she did a 3-episode series on her experience, was one of the more dramatic that I've heard in my career. And it was very, very expensive for her. It was very emotional. And it really seemed to kind of break her in a way that was rather eye-opening. And I've heard and have worked with many authors who have had good and bad experiences with publishers. But after listening to her podcasts, it really made me want to create more conversations around people's experiences, because I do think that the more we as a publishing community talk about some of these issues, the more we can avoid them in the future. And so we will link the podcast episodes to Hillary's experience, because I do think listening to her story, and it's rather long. Again, it's a 3-episode series.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But she really highlighted some of the things that she wishes that she would have known. And that was really the whole point of the series, was she kept saying, I wish someone would have told me about this before I signed with a publisher, or I wish someone would have told me about their experiences before I jumped into this, because it was a huge learning experience for her.
And while you said that it's one of the more dramatic experiences that you've seen, was any of it really surprising to you?
No, it wasn't.
Anything new?
No, it was a bit more dramatic in the sense that so much of her own money was involved with it.
Oh, okay.
So much of it was hinging on scheduling and other miscommunication on both sides, on her side and on the publisher side.
Right. And so it sounds like Hillary's experience, even though it was on a different level than what you've heard before, is similar to what you've been hearing all along with all the authors that you've worked with over the years. So what are some of the things that you want authors to know before they get into signing any kind of deal with a publisher?
So the very first thing is to not sign any contracts or any agreements before you talk to your lawyer, whether you talk to another fellow author or an agent or someone who you trust who has had experience within publishing. Mm-hmm. This can be for many different things. It can be for your publishing contracts. If you go with, a small press or something like that, it can be even with working with a marketing agency or an agent or anything. You do not want to sign blindly. And if it feels like this contract is just too good to be true, or if they're promising you the moon, those are big red flags.
It probably is too good to be true.
It is. So it's not to say that they are a bad company, but it is just to cover your tail and to make sure that you are agreeing to something that is not going to screw you over in the end.
And the language in these contracts, I don't know that they intentionally try to make it hard to understand, but it is just, for those of us who don't live in that world, there's a lot of it that is just absolutely hard to understand. So there is no shame at all in asking for help from someone who lives in that world and speaks that language to make sure that there aren't clauses thrown in there that are going to end up biting you.
That's right. And that's exactly why an agent is required within a traditional publishing deal. Agents are experts within contracts and agreements between an author and a publisher. So that is one of the main reasons, among many, that traditional publishers require you to have an agent.
And finding a trustworthy agent is also hard, and you'll have to sign a contract with them So it still helps to have a circle of people, not just rely on one single person.
Yeah. And that also goes back to the Hillary podcast, because she had one agent with the first publisher and she ended up parting ways, if I remember correctly. But there can be agents that just do not do their job.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another thing, talking to other authors or asking for referrals.
Yeah.
If you are going to sign with an agent. And I want to also emphasize that it might take you years to find an agent.
Yeah.
Do not sign with the first one that comes your way.
Right.
Even if this is the first and only bite that you've had, do not sign with them right away, because you want to vet them. You want to make sure that you are signing with the right person.
Yeah. And it's okay to ask if you might be able to reach out to some of their other clients to see if you're a good fit. Because that's the other thing is, on top of the business aspect, there's the interpersonal relationship that it needs to be a good fit for you.
Yes, exactly. The second thing that I want to point out is for authors to become a part of a writing group or an authors group. Now, these can be found online, these can be in person, but talking with other authors, especially authors who have been around the block a few times with several books or that are more seasoned, can provide such valuable advice, experience, and insight. Just even going to be a part of like a Facebook group with other authors. You can even do meetups with local authors that are in your area. Those are wonderful, wonderful communities that you can be a part of and learn a lot from.
And we have a great community of our own.
Absolutely.
You're welcome to join if you're not a part of it already.
Yes, you can join us within the author circle, and we'll add links to that in the show notes as well. But we have a wonderful group of authors that have gathered to be a part of the author circle, and we would love to have you be a part of it.
And you also do a monthly office hours to where authors can ask you questions, but they can also interact in real time on a Zoom call.
Exactly. And that leads to the third point, is to ask questions. I've worked with so many authors who have felt ashamed to ask questions because they think that we in the publishing industry think that they should already know these things.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely not the case. There is no dumb question. There is no situation where you should feel like you can't ask a question about. So that is the third thing. And to never feel like you are less than for asking these questions. And honestly, if you're in a group of people, I guarantee you other people are wondering those same exact questions.
Right.
So the three big things are: don't sign anything until you have talked to someone about the details, whether it be a contract, agreement, whatever it is. Become a part of an author community, and then ask questions. These are the three things that are going to really empower you to make the best decisions for you and your book. It's going to empower you to feel more secure in the decisions that you're making. And it is going to help you to avoid as many, oh, I wish I would have known that before I published a book situations. Now, are you going to do it perfectly the first time? No. But we want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible and that you kind of have some bumpers around you so that you can avoid any catastrophes.
And as you're looking for the right opportunity for your success with your own book, it helps to keep in mind that things are constantly changing. The publishing companies that are large corporations are constantly trying to seek new ways to make money off of your content too. So going into this with as much information as you possibly can, so that as you're going into these engagements with potential business partners, that it is going to be a mutually beneficial situation for you and that you're not going to be taken advantage of.
Absolutely, because it is a business agreement. So protect yourself and make sure that you are covered. And if you want to take action right away, and if you want to join a very safe and trusted community, I would love to, again, invite you into the Author Circle. It's not only a community and gathering for authors, but it is full of fantastic information to help you market your book, to empower you with the right tools and information so you and your book can succeed.
And you're constantly adding new content to the Author Circle every month.
Every month we have new content. You have access to all of the archived information and tutorials and everything that we've done before. And we also do monthly office hours where you can ask me questions and interact with your fellow authors.
So you can learn more about that at mixusmedia.com, and we'll also include links to those places, including Hillary's podcast episode in the episode notes. As always, thank you for listening, and we really appreciate hearing from you, and we're here to answer your questions anytime. So reach out to Jen on social media, via email, and in the comments for this podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.